Hey guys, and welcome to Adventure Prone 4x4. On today's episode we're going to be fixing the nav, essentially. I've been able to diagnose what's actually gone wrong with the nav. For those who have watched my last video, you'll know that something's not right, and I've been able to diagnose and fix what it is after a little while, which is great. So today we're going to be replacing an exhaust manifold on a D22 Navara, on a YD25 D22 Navara. And we're also going to be upgrading it with a custom manifold as well, which will be good. It's a high flow piece, so in particular when I go to get a tune, that'll really come into its own. So yeah, keen to get it done, but it's going to be a big job. I'm pretty wrecked at the moment, so we'll see how long this takes. This could be a couple of nights worth of work, but we'll get it done. I've got hopefully got a couple of buddies coming over to help. Many hands makes light work after all, so that'll be good if I can get them to come over. I'll show you guys the damage report. So the exhaust manifold on a YD25 Navara D22 is underneath this silver shield. That's the heat shield for the exhaust manifold. Now, not only is this thing a pain in the ass to get to, the heat shield made it incredibly hard to diagnose because I had a couple of issues going on at once. So the symptoms that I had for me to be able to diagnose this as the exhaust manifold, it was running really hot. It was running about 7 to 8 degrees hotter than it normally would. Even on little inclines, it was hitting 95, sometimes over 100 degrees. She was getting pretty warm at about 108 on the way up the Toowoomba range, and that's not normal. I know that's not normal for my car. But it was kind of hunting on idle, which it has done that for a little while, but I thought that might have been something to do with the PCV, and so I was looking at PCV and SCV and the mass sensor, but it was none of those. Lucky I didn't go changing any of them over. That would have been money wasted, but it wasn't any of those. And after a while, I thought it might have been a couple of things, but I was able to. After a while, I kind of thought it might have been something wrong with the turbo. It was really laggy after all, and it kind of would have made sense. But I actually had a look underneath. I pulled back the mud flap under the wheel arch and had a look at the turbo, and it was covered in black soot. So I posted a picture online to the D22 page on Facebook, and they were really helpful. And they pointed me in the direction that was the exhaust manifold. So I took back which also made sense. So I took back the heat shield, took it off, and yeah, sure enough, I've got two massive, not massive, I've got two reasonable sized cracks in my exhaust manifold. So that's what it is, and those were my symptoms. So if you guys are watching, have any of the same symptoms, take your heat shield off and have a look. But just at the moment, I'm kind of allowing the car to cool down. The exhaust manifold is like 100 degrees, or it's more than 100 degrees at the moment. So I'm going to let all that cool, and then I'm going to run you guys through what needs to happen to take everything off and what needs to happen to get to it. So yeah, before we actually get into the install or the fix or whatever, I want to talk to you guys about what I've got to replace the broken manifold. What I went with, and to get a genuine one, was maybe about $500, $400 to $500, and I figured, well, for a similar price I can get an upgraded one. So that's what I did. So this is what I went with. This piece is from Advanced Headers. They're in Adelaide, I think, South Australia, Adelaide. These guys have got over 30 years, I think over 35 years under their belt in making. They do stuff like this. They do exhaust systems, headers, extractors, things like that. So if you've got any questions, head to the website. They do some really cool stuff. But yeah, definitely worth a check out. It came in, I'm not gonna lie, it took longer to come. I think Australia Post buggered up my postage, but I've got it here today. It came today, so we're gonna get it done today. Really impressed with it. It's nice, and like, one thing I was worried about was the flat edge of the gasket, but it's actually dead straight. So you can check these guys out on their website. So I do encourage you to head over there. They are on Facebook. They're probably on Instagram. But yeah, like I said, go check them out. See what they've got for your car. Now, one thing to point out as well is that none of the upgraded pieces retain the EGR valve. So that was a little bit disappointing. Now, by the way, I also don't recommend blocking off the EGR for legality, but I have blocked mine off for longevity. So something for you guys to consider. Like I said, it's not legal, no, for emissions reasons, for emissions control, but in terms of longevity of my engine, I have blocked it. Guys, don't forget as well, when you are working on a car, make sure you use the appropriate safety gear. I will be using gloves for the majority of this, especially while the car's still hot, but make sure you got the appropriate eyewear as well. Footwear, and just the appropriate attire in general for working on a car. So, let's hook in. First up, we're going to take the intercooler off, and then we're going to work our way through getting rid of that, probably that, pretty well everything in this side of the engine bay. They did not want to make it easy to change one of these things. So first up, I'm just going to undo the hoses for the intercooler, because that's the first thing I'm going to take off. So those ones on mine are an 8mm, if you're wondering. If you weren't, ignore that. These here are a 12mm. That's the wrong way, idiot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Still nice and warm. Should just lift straight off. Okay, so next up I'm going to be taking off this, and then I'll probably take out the airbox at the same time. I won't take that out unless I really have to, the battery. But I'm going to take that off, then I'll probably take that off. Then I'll work my way, get rid of that, the heat shield and the EGR. How the hell did you do that?
Turbo tunnel.
Fair enough. Okay, we are just going to take off the hoses, and then we'll get rid of the catch can. Then we'll work our way, get rid of that, and then the heat shield. Alright, so what do we just get rid of the catch can? Get rid of the catch can. I've taken the intercooler piece off, and I've just taken the bolts off that. So we're going to get rid of that and show you guys the crack in the manifold. Okay, so that is the heat shield, or the inside of the heat shield. As you can see, it is pretty munted.
Munted is an understatement.
Yep. There we go. So one big crack there, and a smaller crack just there. And that's what's been giving me my issues. So, now comes the fun part. I'm going to remove the EGR. So basically we've been here pretty well a quarter of an hour, and all we've accomplished really is getting the belts off and the tension adjuster. And we've taken the EGR off in like 3/4 of an hour. But that's all done. Just a couple of extensions through there, and after we took the belts off, we were able to get it off without snapping anything or rounding off anything, which is nice. So now we're going to work on getting these top bolts out and loosening them off, and then we'll have a crack at unbolting the turbo and so in order to take that off, we're going to have to undo the bolts for the dump pipe. But that shouldn't be too much of a drama, so we're going to have to undo all 4 of those somehow, and then the turbo should just drop out, hopefully. So let's give that a crack. Not gonna lie, if this thing cracks again, I'm selling it.
Fire cruiser!
Far out. Okay, so this is where we're at. We've removed all of these top ones. There's a piece that connects the turbo underneath. I've removed that. I don't know if I should have or not, but it's not leaking, so that's good. I'm kind of a little bit stumped as to what's actually holding the turbo in now. There'll be something. There are a couple of little pieces that I can't see, so I'm going to get underneath. I'm going to take that dump pipe off and see if that gives me a better view of what's actually holding everything in. Night 2. This is where we're up to. Getting better, thank God.
Here we have an excellent piece of Adventure Prone 4x4 handiwork. Clay, why don't you just pop in there and turn the ignition and get her running?
That's a f***ing terrible idea.
So you got a Corolla, mate.
Show us some
Goes like the clap. Leave my side boob alone.
Well, in my day, you should have had a panel van. You could have been doing work in the back instead of under the bonnet.
Alright, where we're up to at the moment, we were able to get those bottom bolts off, those 3 after we dropped the turbo. I've still got the turbo sitting in here, I've just dropped it down. We had to undo that, which is a coolant line, which goes under that. That's just your banjo nut. And yeah, coolant kind of went everywhere, but that's okay. That is to be expected. We undid the oil return line from underneath the turbo as well. And there was one more piece that we undid, and I can't remember where it was. It was that one, which is the coolant hose, which is this. So this hose here, just kind of bends around so it doesn't leak and go everywhere. Connects to the top of that, and that also connects to what was over there. I'll find that later. But anyway, so we've dropped the turbo down. The dump pipe was all undone and whatnot. Oh, are my bolts still in there? Yep, that's nice. Now, in order to do this, I also did plug up one of the coolant lines with just a screw. I'll see if I can get the camera in on that. No, it's not going to show. Anyway, I've plugged it with just one of the screws that I took out. I also had to take off the air, so this little flange here, I did have to take that piece off, which allowed me to actually get in easier to that one, and made it easier to access that one and easier to access that. So if you have to do this, that's not a bad way to do it. Like I said, I haven't actually removed the turbo, I've just dropped it down. And yeah, now I'm going to go through, clean this up and get the new one ready. Another thing to keep in mind is to have rags handy. I've got coolant all over the floor, so whoops. Onwards. Okay, so I've gone through and I've just given it a rough cleanup. Not too bad of a cleanup, it actually came up alright. So I'm going to prepare the new gasket and the new manifold. New gasket's on. Now, as advised, I'm going to put some antifreeze just on these here, on the studs, and I'm also going to, the order of which we're going to do, and we're going to do from the inside to out, just to avoid any mishaps. Just going to pop that one on over the top. I'm going to go through and put some of these nuts back on. Okay, I've just put that main coolant line back in. That was a nuisance and a half. All the bolts nice and tight. It looks really nice. Looks nice and shiny because it's covered in coolant. But I'm going to probably do the dump back up right now. Yeah, I should be able to do that without having to get underneath. It's just that underneath is absolutely soaked in coolant. Not ideal. So I'm going to have to top up the radiator with coolant as well. But that's done for the most part. I've got to reconnect a lot of hoses and things now. Okay, so the dump pipe is in. Oh god, hang on. Did I get that last one in? I think I didn't. Okay, so we are back. This is day 3. This is day 3 of the exhaust manifold. If your exhaust manifold ever goes, get rid of it. So I've just gone and reattached the dump pipe bolts. So next up, I'm just going to put this one, that's for the air intake. I'm going to put that back on. I'm going to put the oil return line, which is underneath. So I've popped that back on, that back on. Now the oil return line went back on as well. Everything's back on except the coolant line, the EGR that connects from here to here, no longer fits. So that piece there is actually a little bit too far forward, it's a little bit out of place, so that's a bit of a snag. But James is going to do up in, Jim's going to do an EGR kind of plate, just another one. Essentially we're just going to blank it off right here. He's kind of got the EGR pipe with him, but we're just going to blank it off right here, as opposed to having it running down here and blanking off here. So this will be a 4-day ordeal, but that'll go back on. We'll put the belts back on. But right now I'm going to put the catch can back in, the airbox, connect the airbox back up, and put the intercooler back on, because that will be everything that we need to do. And then before I get it running, I'll have to put coolant back in as well before it all turns over, and reconnect the battery. This is the last little piece to the equation. The EGR block. We're going to put that on. Jim has made one up for us. I'll show you guys. That's what he's made up for us. So Thank you very much to James for doing that on such short notice, but that is my new EGR block. Okay, so guys, I want to give you guys a look at the finished product, and we'll see what you guys think. I have just gone through and refilled the coolant, so I'll check that again tomorrow. Everything's done back up. That's the EGR with the new gasket. Thank you, Jim. I'll probably readjust those in the morning, the belt tensioners. But everything's pretty well, everything is in and done. Everything's back in airbox, catch can, intercooler. You probably can't really see. That's it there. So that's the new manifold. So that's pretty well everything done. I'll pretty well keep you guys updated if there's any issues or any complications, or I'll let you know how well it goes. Big thank you to Advanced Headers for the piece. Thank you for getting it up here relatively quickly. So fingers crossed everything goes well for Morton. I'm sure you guys will hear about it if it doesn't go well. Hey guys, so all crap aside, I got to the editing stages of this video and I was doing the last little bit and I was pretty up and down for most of it. But the last part was in particular pretty hard to watch. It was pretty depressing, so this is about a week and a half after I actually put the manifold in. I've been to Morton Island, we're back, and I want to show you guys how the manifold's held up. But yeah, I was having a bit of a rough week and that reflected in the footage, so I've decided to just refilm this last little segment. So let's jump in and have a look at the manifold and how it's holding up. So guys, this is a bit of a general overview of how everything's gone. Like I said, I've been to Morton and back, so the paint's pretty well gone. The paint lasted like 2 days. I don't even think I got to Morton and most of it was gone. A lot of those salt spots are showing up too. I need to go through and clean all that. That's not going to do me any favours in the long run, but the manifold has done its job. There's no real issues there. I do just want to make sure I do want to go through and just retighten some of the bolts. I'll just retighten some of the top ones. I do worry about the gasket. I feel like that's something that long term I may have to replace again, the gasket, not so much the actual manifold but the gasket. So I'm gonna, like, what I was told was that the genuine ones had a tendency to leak anyway. So I went for an aftermarket one, but I'm not entirely convinced. I can see a couple of just little black spots on the actual gasket itself, not the engine block, which indicates that there may actually be a little bit of exhaust gas escaping. So it's just on the top side, which means that it's really quite easy to get to. So I'm going to go through and tighten all those up. God forbid I have to take all this crap off and do it again. I'll be super pissed off if I have to, but that's just life, how it goes. Also, it has also changed the tone, the note of my exhaust a little bit. It's kind of made it a little bit deeper, a little bit more grumbly almost. But I'm happy with that. That's not concerning me, but yeah, that's pretty well everything done. Like I said, everything seems to be holding up, but I do want to go through and tighten a couple of those top bolts first. And I really need to get in there and give it a good clean. So guys, that's pretty well the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, like this video. It does help me out a lot. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I think I said Facebook, YouTube. Hit the bell button so you get an alarm every time I do release a new video. And I'll keep you guys in the loop as to what's coming up next and any issues, anything upcoming, or let me know anything that you guys want to see in the future. Otherwise, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys in the next video.